Imagine waking up to a beautiful morning. The sun is shining, the air is crisp, and the world feels perfectly safe. But before you can even take a breath, everything you know, the sky, the planet, the stars above, is instantly deleted. No fiery apocalypse, no cosmic explosion, just perfect, eternal nothingness wiping across the universe at the exact speed of light. You wouldn't feel it. You wouldn't hear it. You wouldn't even have the neurological time to process that it happened. You would just cease to exist. This isn't a science fiction horror story. This is one of the most terrifying, mathematically supported theories in modern quantum physics. It is called the vacuum decay. And the most terrifying part isn't just what it does. It's the fact that it could already be happening right now, somewhere out in the dark, hurtling toward us at 186,000 miles per second. Welcome to the concept that keeps theoretical physicists awake at night. The ultimate cosmic glitch. The universal error. Subscribe to VoidSea and prepare yourself, because the true nature of reality is far more fragile than you could ever imagine. To understand how the entire universe could suddenly delete itself, we have to look at how reality is actually constructed. When we look up at the night sky, or at the ground beneath our feet, everything feels solid, stable, permanent. The fundamental forces of the universe, gravity, electromagnetism, the nuclear forces, they all operate on precise, unmoving rules. These rules are what allow atoms to form, stars to burn, and eventually, life to exist. But those rules don't just exist out of nowhere. They are dictated by something much deeper. Let me introduce you to the underlying fabric of everything: the quantum fields. Think of space not as an empty vacuum, but as water in an ocean. These invisible oceans of energy fill every inch of existence. The most important one among them is called the Higgs Field. The Higgs Field is what gives everything its mass. It decides how heavy things are. In physics, everything naturally wants to reach its lowest possible energy state. Like a ball rolling down a hill until it hits the absolute bottom of the valley, where it rests comfortably. When a field reaches this absolute bottom, the lowest possible energy state, it is considered stable. In physics, we call this a true vacuum. For a long time, we assumed our universe was exactly this: a stable, solid reality resting at the very bottom of the hill. But in 2012, we discovered the mass of the Higgs boson particle, and the math revealed a horrifying truth. Our ball isn't at the bottom of the valley. It's resting on a tiny, precarious ledge halfway down an infinitely deep cliff. We are not in a true vacuum. We are in what physicists call a false vacuum. The stability of our entire universe is an illusion. We are just temporarily stuck on a ledge, and beneath us is an endless, terrifying drop. As long as the ball stays on the ledge, the laws of physics remain exactly as we know them. But if that ball gets pushed, if it rolls off the edge and falls down into the true vacuum, the very laws of nature will be ripped apart and rewritten. Gravity, chemistry, biology, everything will instantly cease to exist in its current form. And the scariest part? It only takes a single spark to start the fire. So, what could actually push the ball off the ledge? What could trigger the end of physics? To find the trigger, we have to zoom down past atoms, past quarks, into the violent, boiling realm of quantum mechanics. In the classic world, if you throw a ball at a massive brick wall, it will bounce back. It doesn't have the energy to break through or go over. The same applies to the Higgs field. It's trapped on that ledge by an invisible energy barrier. But in the quantum world, things cheat. Welcome to quantum tunneling. At the subatomic level, particles don't have an exact set location. They exist as a cloud of probabilities. Because of this mathematical uncertainty, there is a very tiny, almost impossible probability that a particle trapped behind a barrier could simply tunnel right through it, disappearing from one side and instantly appearing on the other. The probability of this happening to the Higgs field is unimaginably low. But the universe is infinitely large and has existed for nearly 14 billion years. In an infinite casino with infinite time, eventually the house loses. It could be triggered by an ultra-high energy cosmic ray slamming into the atmosphere of a dead star. It could be the byproduct of a supermassive black hole evaporation. Or it could just happen by pure, random quantum chance in the absolute middle of nowhere. One tiny point in space where the Higgs field tunnels through the barrier, drops off the ledge, and hits the true vacuum, rock bottom. The second that happens, it creates a microscopic bubble, a tiny sphere of true vacuum inside our universe of false vacuum. And nature absolutely hates an imbalance. The true vacuum bubble is at a lower energy state, so immediately the space right next to the bubble decides it wants to be at a lower state too. It falls down the cliff. Then the space next to that falls. A chain reaction begins. The bubble starts to expand outward in every direction. And within a fraction of a second, this bubble of absolute nothingness accelerates to the ultimate speed limit of reality, the speed of light. What actually happens at the edge of this bubble? What would it look like if the deletion wave was coming right at you? The truth is, you wouldn't see anything. Because the bubble is expanding at exactly the speed of light, the light warning you that it's coming is traveling at the exact same speed as the destruction itself. There is no warning flash, no shadow. You would be staring at a beautiful starry sky 1 millisecond and deleted the next. But inside the bubble is where the true horror lies. This isn't a wave of fire or a blast of gravity. This is a zone where the fundamental constants of physics are different. Inside a true vacuum, the Higgs field rests at a different energy level. This means electrons might suddenly become infinitely heavy or have no mass at all. The strong nuclear force might break. Chemistry, as we know it, becomes mathematically impossible. Every atom in your body, every rock on Earth, every star in the sky would instantly dissolve into a soup of raw, chaotic, subatomic particles. Nothing survives. Not matter, not light, not even black holes. The bubble is the ultimate eraser, wiping the cosmic hard drive completely clean as it continues its unstoppable march outward forever. And because it moves at the speed of light, it can never be stopped, slowed down, or reasoned with. It will simply continue to expand, eating through reality until the entire universe is swallowed by the true vacuum. What is left behind is a cold, dead, static universe. A place where life could never evolve again. A place where even the concept of a star is fundamentally broken. This is why it is called the ultimate existential threat. But it begs a terrifying question. If the universe has been around for 14 billion years, and it only takes one microscopic glitch, why hasn't it happened yet? Why hasn't a bubble from a billion light-years away already reached us and wiped us out? Or, has it? Astronomers mapping the ancient radiation of the universe discovered massive, unexplained cold spots, regions of space that are simply missing energy. We call them massive supervoids, billions of light-years across, entirely empty of stars and galaxies. Some physicists look at these terrifying dark scars on the universe and wonder, are these the scars of ancient, localized vacuum decays that somehow burned out? Or are they entirely different universes pushing into ours like soap bubbles colliding in a sink? The truth is, we are living inside a bubble of our own. A stable, beautiful bubble of reality that has allowed us to evolve, think, and look up at the stars. But that bubble is incredibly fragile. It sits on a ledge, halfway down a cliff, in a universe filled with infinite rolling dice, just waiting for the perfect bad roll to end it all. Which leads us to the most disturbing hypothesis of all: the Great Filter Connection. If the universe naturally spawns these bubbles of nothingness, what happens when civilizations get too smart? What if an ancient, advanced alien species built colliders and particle accelerators billions of times more powerful than our own? What if, in their quest to unlock the deepest secrets of quantum mechanics, they pushed the Higgs field too hard? What if they accidentally generated the energy required to push the ball off the ledge themselves? It would explain why the universe is so silent. Because the moment a civilization reaches a necessary level of technological mastery, they accidentally trigger a localized vacuum decay. They delete themselves and their entire native star cluster in a fraction of a millisecond, effectively turning their corner of the universe into an empty, dead supervoid. If the vacuum decay is the ultimate great filter, then the universe isn't inherently hostile. It's just rigged with an invisible trapdoor. A trapdoor that you only fall through if you build a machine powerful enough to open it. And this is exactly what makes some physicists deeply nervous about our own future here on Earth. Because humanity is just starting to build machines that peek into the quantum realm. Machines like the Large Hadron Collider smash particles together at nearly the speed of light. They do this to create micro-explosions, simulating the conditions of the early universe for just a fraction of a second. They are completely safe. The energies we use, while massive for us, are still billions of times weaker than the natural cosmic rays striking our atmosphere every single day. But what happens in 1,000 years? Or 10,000? What happens when humanity learns to harness the entire energy output of our sun to build an accelerator the size of the solar system? Will our unending thirst for knowledge inevitably lead us to push the ball off the ledge? Are we destined to reach a technological peak only to accidentally hit the ultimate delete button? Most physicists believe we shouldn't worry. Based on current calculations, the Higgs field is remarkably stable. It could take tens of billions of years before a decay randomly triggers. But there is a horrifying catch. Our calculations rely entirely on our exact measurement of the mass of the top quark, the heaviest fundamental particle. And our measurements aren't perfect. If the top quark is even slightly heavier than we currently calculate, it changes the entire equation of the universe. It means the ledge we are sitting on isn't just fragile. It's actively crumbling. Which brings us to the ultimate existential reality of our existence. We are a tiny spark of consciousness, floating in a fragile, temporary universe, balanced halfway down an infinite cliff. Everything you have ever loved, every war ever fought, every song ever written, happened here, built inside a false vacuum, a glitch, a temporary configuration of physics that eventually, inevitably, must correct itself. The reality is, a bubble of nothingness could have spawned 1 billion years ago in a distant galaxy. It could be expanding toward us at the speed of light right now. If a bubble swallowed the moon right now, we wouldn't know for 1.3 seconds. We would just keep talking, drinking our coffee, looking at the sky, completely unaware that our absolute end was already here. But is that really a bad thing? If there is no warning, no pain, and no afterlife. If it truly is an instantaneous deletion across the board, then there is nothing to fear. We wouldn't have time to be scared. We wouldn't have time to mourn. So, the only logical response to the fragility of our existence is to simply live, to appreciate the stability of the ledge while we have it, because the universe doesn't owe us permanence. It is a grand, chaotic, mathematical machine. And eventually, the machine will hit an error. The code will reset.
the ball will roll off the ledge. It will fall into the true vacuum, and the great, loud, chaotic, beautiful story of our universe will fall silent forever. This is the nature of reality. This is the edge of the abyss. Welcome to the void. Subscribe to VoidSea.